What if your next genius investment, the AI stock, the NFT flip, the EV startup, was the one that erased everything you'd built overnight? Every empire swore its money would last forever. Every government promised its currency was untouchable. And every time, history laughed. From Rome to France, from the Confederate South to modern Lebanon, people woke up to find their life savings gone, their paychecks worthless, and their trust in the system betrayed. Collapse isn't rare. It's the rule. The real question isn't if the system breaks. It's how you survive when it does. We stare at our apps, our crypto wallets, our stock portfolios, and call it security. But money isn't security. It's trust. And trust can vanish faster than a Terra Luna crash. History's graveyard of currencies screams one truth. The survivors were never the ones who believed the longest. They were the ones who doubted first and acted. Let's start with the Byzantine Empire, the Rome that refused to die. For 1,000 years, its gold solidus was the world's most trusted coin. Merchants from Istanbul to India took it without blinking. It was the medieval Bitcoin. But empires get greedy. Just like Rome diluted its silver, Byzantium started shaving its gold, mixing in copper, stretching purity thin. At first, no one noticed. Then trust cracked. The coin that powered global trade became a meme, a political joke. Sound familiar? Remember when people said Bitcoin would replace gold until 2022? Who survived? Not the loyal citizens clutching imperial notes, but the quiet ones who hoarded real gold, land, and trade routes outside the empire's control. Lesson number 1. Governments always dilute. Real value always flees to what they can't print. But not every collapse comes from rulers. Sometimes it's a shock no one sees coming. In 1347, the Black Death hit Europe like a financial nuke. Half the population gone. Cities emptied, farms abandoned. Supply chains? Dead. But here's the twist. When workers vanish, the survivors become kings. Wages exploded, land prices collapsed. A peasant with a little silver could buy a noble's estate for pennies. Fast forward to 2020 to 2021. COVID did the same, but with Zoom calls and stimulus checks. Governments printed $10 trillion. Those with cash bought houses, stocks, even NFTs at peak hype. Those without, evicted. Pandemics don't just kill people. They redistribute wealth, from the broke to the ready. Same pattern, 700 years apart. Then came Florence, the Wall Street of the 1300s. The Bardet and Peruzzi banks were too big to fail. They lent billions, in today's money, to kings, until Edward III defaulted. One bad loan, and the entire system collapsed. Depositors? Wiped out? Trade? Frozen? Florence went from riches to riots in months. Sound like FTX in 2022? Or Silicon Valley Bank in 2023? Too big to fail is a lie older than banking itself. Institutions don't protect you. They protect themselves, until they can't. Now cross the ocean to America's Civil War. It wasn't just North versus South. It was paper versus reality. The Union printed greenbacks. The Confederacy printed graybacks. By the billions. By 1865, a Confederate dollar was worth less than the paper it was printed on. Soldiers used stacks of it as kindling. Who survived? Not the patriots with wallets full of promises, but the ones with land, food, gold, and guns. America already had its currency collapse. Most just forgot. Until 2022's 9% inflation reminded us. And then, France. The revolution toppled kings, seized churches, and printed a new dream, the assignat, backed by stolen land, they said. But the presses never stopped. Soon, a wheelbarrow of assignats couldn't buy bread. Farmers refused paper, riots returned. The revolution that screamed liberty ate its own children. The winners? Not the idealists, but the realists with grain, silver, and soil. The pattern is brutal. The names change. The tools evolve, from coins to crypto, NFTs, AI stocks. But the cycle never breaks. Trust, overprint, crash, transfer. From Byzantium to Beeple's $69 million NFT now worth $0. From Florence to FTX. From graybacks to GameStop, money fails. Always. But here's the secret history won't tell you on TV. Collapse is also opportunity. The question isn't if the next crash comes, it's will you be holding promises or power? Coming up, the 2025 crash is already loading. Crypto winters, AI bubbles, EV graveyards, and the 3 things that survive when everything else burns. 2 centuries after France's paper promises turned to dust, the same old lesson reappeared, this time in Asia. It started quietly in 1997 with a whisper about the Thai baht. Traders bet against it, confident that Thailand's currency peg would snap. It did. And that single fracture sent shockwaves across the entire region. In days, currencies collapsed from Jakarta to Seoul. In weeks, millions lost jobs, homes, and faith in everything they thought was stable. Governments had borrowed in US dollars, trusting their exchange rates like scripture. But when the peg broke, their debts didn't shrink, they exploded. Overnight, what they owed became impossible to repay. The result wasn't just an economic crash, it was a wealth transfer. Wall Street hedge funds, the same ones who'd sparked the panic, bought Asian assets at fire sale prices. Families who'd saved for decades watched their purchasing power evaporate. Nations begged for IMF bailouts. And the pattern, once again, was unmistakable. Those who held real, globally trusted assets survived. Those who trusted local promises didn't. Debt in someone else's money is a slow-moving guillotine. When the blade drops, it's the debtor who bleeds. From the Byzantine solidus to the Asian financial crisis, the rhythm of collapse never changes. Only the instruments playing it do. Paper money dies, debt chains nations, and the survivors are never the most loyal believers. They're the first to sense the tremor before the floor gives way. And make no mistake, the ground is trembling again. Look around. Lebanon, 2019. Banks froze withdrawals overnight. People lined outside, begging for access to their own savings. The Lebanese pound lost over 90% of its value, and life savings became pocket change. Middle-class families, doctors, teachers, retirees, all wiped out. Then 2020 hit, a global pandemic, trillions printed in stimulus. Stock markets soared while small businesses died. Asset owners grew richer than ever. The rest drowned in debt. By 2023, even American banks, once symbols of invincibility, were collapsing in real time. A few tweets and a bank run later, depositors discovered that insured didn't mean safe. In every century, the script repeats. Governments overpromise, banks overleverage, and ordinary people learn, too late, that too big to fail is just marketing. So what survives when money fails? History leaves breadcrumbs, if we're willing to follow them. In Byzantium, the answer was gold. After the Black Death, it was liquidity to buy abandoned land. In Florence, it was skepticism of the bankers everyone worshipped. In the Confederacy, it was hard goods. In France, it was food and property. In Asia, it was avoiding debt tied to someone else's currency. In Lebanon, it was getting out before the vaults slammed shut. And today, in 2025, it's clarity. The wisdom to see that not every shiny innovation is salvation. Because just as the Byzantines diluted gold, we dilute belief with hype. Crypto promised liberation. Then came the rug pulls, the vanished exchanges, the FTX trials, and the coins now worth pennies. EV startups soared on hope, then sank under debt. AI stocks exploded like fireworks. Dazzling, temporary, overpriced by dreams. NFTs once sold for millions now trade for cents. History isn't repeating, it's upgrading its disguise. The faces change, the temptation doesn't. Here's the paradox that should make every viewer pause. Collapse isn't just destruction, it's redistribution. When the system burns, wealth doesn't vanish, it moves. From the many who trusted to the few who prepared. After the Black Death, peasants became landowners. After 2008, those holding cash bought foreclosed homes for pennies. And during the pandemic, those with liquidity bought real estate while others fought to pay rent. Every collapse rewards those who hold something real. That real can be gold, it can be land, it can be skills. Because money is only one kind of wealth, and the most fragile kind of all. The baker who can feed a village, the craftsman who can repair, the farmer who can sustain, the coder who can build. These people don't just survive downturns, they rise through them. When money loses meaning, creation becomes the new currency. So if history has one message for you, it's this. Don't confuse comfort with safety. Don't mistake stability for permanence. Your bank account is not a fortress. Your paycheck is not a guarantee. And every financial illusion, no matter how high it flies, eventually obeys gravity. The ones who thrive are those who see through the illusion early, who build reserves, acquire real assets, sharpen real-world skills, and prepare before everyone else wakes up. Because collapse doesn't knock, it whispers. And by the time it's loud enough for everyone to hear, it's already too late. This is not a story about fear, it's a story about awareness. The future belongs to those who learn from history instead of ignoring it. So ask yourself, when the next illusion cracks, will you be holding paper promises or something that lasts? If this opened your eyes, do something small that protects something big. Your future. Like this video. Share it with someone who still believes it can't happen here. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next chapter of history is already being written. And if you stay with me, I'll show you where to look before the rest of the world catches on. And this also, ready or not,